Look sharp, Spartans, because it's time for another jam-packed episode of Halo the series Declassified. This week we're joined by Yerin Ha, the incredible actor bringing a whole new perspective to our interstellar conflict. Stick around because it's go time. Welcome back to Reach, everybody. I'm Sydnee Goodman, and this is Halo the series Declassified, where we drill down into the big moments of each new episode of Halo. But before we get too much further, I'm getting word that we've got a special incoming transmission.
Greetings, Spartans. Cortana here with an urgent alert that Sydnee and her guests will be discussing the episode at length. So you've been warned. There are spoilers ahead. Best of luck out there.
Thanks, Cortana. Isn't she always such a delight? But I do hope you take her advice to heart more than Master Chief does, because she's absolutely right. We're not holding anything back. Episode 7 was all about Kwan Ha, the young rebel from Madrigal who has found herself to be the only person capable of saving her beloved homeworld from the clutches of the tyrannical maniac called Vinsher. Take a look.
You just have to be difficult.
Me? You should talk.
Damn, let's move.
Kwan Ha, last of the house, the pernicious hour is at last upon us.
Joining me today is Madrigal's savior and one of the most exciting new additions to the Halo mythology. Please welcome the amazing Yerin Ha. Hi, Yerin.
Hello. Hi. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us on Declassified. Let's just jump into it. So, as I mentioned, Kwan Ha is a character new to the Halo mythology.
Yeah.
Is it freeing or intimidating as an actor to have an original character in a series within an established and beloved universe?
At first, it was really intimidating for sure, just because I know, there's so many fans and people are so passionate about the games, rightly so, because it's, a great story, Master Chief's a great hero. But then it kind of got to the point where I just kind of had to focus on my character and my character's arc and her journey. So when I actually started to initially, do all the work and all that kind of stuff, it was really freeing and creatively fulfilling to kind of just talk with the producers, the directors, how they kind of want to pitch Kwan and kind of her journey and everything. Towards the end, it got a little bit more fun.
So Kwan is kind of the first thing we see in the series. How does it feel to have that responsibility?
Kwan first. When I read the script, I was like, really? I was like, you don't want to see like Master Chief's like amazing kind of, face and all that kind of stuff. But no, they wanted to start with Kwan. And I think, the circumstances they put her and her friends in, or it sets the tone and the stakes of the show and just how urgent everything is. Like, the planet is in a lot of stress. There's a lot of war going on. So I think that's maybe why Kwan started off the show.
Well, absolutely. And to piggyback off of that, I mean, Kwan kind of represents how this interstellar war impacts everyday people, right? So from Kwan's perspective, what does the UNSC and the Spartans represent, and how does that evolve from episode 1 to episode 7?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think the UNSC government kind of embodies a lot of today, like politicians and all that kind of stuff, and people who are just greedy for power and they don't actually really care for their people, which I think the UNSC body is to, the people of Madrigal, and which is why my dad, Yerin Ha, is fighting so hard to gain independence from them. And also the Spartans are people who, to certain people, they look like humanity's greatest weapon, but then to me they're people who have killed my mother and who have been murderers. So it's kind of like this interesting relationship. I'd say the government body definitely has a more negative intention, whereas the Spartans are, you kind of like, what's their moral line? You don't really know where they quite sit.
Well, and when we see that kind of dream sequence in episode 7, and obviously Chief is there, where was Kwan's head at seeing Chief there? Was it like a sigh of relief that it's like, oh, something familiar? Like, we saw Chief and Kwan earlier in the season, kind of Chief, for lack of better words, represented this redemption for the Spartans, maybe in Kwan's eyes. So at this point in episode 7, where she sees Chief again, like, what is she feeling?
I think in episode 7, she is feeling, even though they had a really brief interaction, Master Chief saved Kwan, so I think it's kind of like feeling a little bit of home in a weird, strange sense, and kind of this familiar figure. She's lost everyone that she kind of loves, and she's all alone. So I think seeing Master Chief there in a dream, it's like, oh my God, am I okay? And then obviously later realizing the intentions for why he's there. Definitely at the initial point feels like a bit of home, of safety net for her, for sure.
And you mentioned loss, and I mean, we don't get to see the perspective of civilians in stories about conflict on this scale that often. Why do you feel it's important to see things from this point of view?
I think it's, reality. The world can be such a cruel, cruel place, and people can be really cruel to one another. And I think Kwan embodies someone who is just resilient and just trying to fight for the people and fight for peace and fight for, such big, teams and stuff like that. So I think it's just highlighting the people who are fighting for freedom and just basic human rights. And so I think it's so important to highlight that, and there's people every day on the streets who, fight for something in their life. And I think it's not showcased enough. I think sometimes in television shows it's portrayed too easily, or, in this kind of very utopian way, but it's definitely not. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to highlight, is the hardships that people really go through. Yeah, and I think it's very important to tell their stories.
Yeah, and I mean, episode 7 really is Kwan's episode for a lot of reasons. And I just, oh my gosh, thinking about it, I want to get emotional during that dream sequence, specifically when you finally see her get to be a kid again and kind of
totally
put down that facade that I think is who Kwan is, right? That ambition and determination. But it's really beautiful when she reunites with her father and just gets to be a kid. Oh,
absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I'm like tearing up thinking about it. I really that just hit me.
Good.
But in episode 7, we also learn about the truth of her ancestry and finally freeing Madrigal from Venture. How do you think that experience changes Kwan moving forward?
I think that she finally understands what she's fighting for. There's actually a sense of drive, whereas I think before it was just kind of a sense of survival. It was just kind of like, how do I get on day by day? But after that kind of point with her father, she knows what her true purpose is. She knows what she is, why she's on this planet, why she's existing. And I think when you have a certain goal and a certain point to go to, I think it's so much easier to drive yourself and feel motivated and passionate about doing that. And especially being reunited with her father one last time, it's kind of like she gets closure. She has this kind of nice bookended finish with her father.
Well, and forgive me if this is redundant, because we did kind of talk a little bit about Kwan and Chief, but at this point, how has Kwan's perception of Master Chief changed since they met?
She felt a little bit betrayed, I think, obviously, when Master Chief left her with Soren. But then obviously seeing him in her dream sequence, I think she realizes just how important of a figure he is, and just how much, although there was a bit of hurt, she realizes that he actually embodies so much for her. And I don't think she realizes that until that certain point. I think she feels a sense of like, we'll meet again. Surely.
Well, and near the end of this episode, Kwan essentially tells Soren that he has a stronger moral compass than he likes to let on. What do you think this says about Kwan's overall philosophy?
I think she can see a lot in people. And I think she wants to give someone, she likes to give people a second chance. She wants to kind of view people with an open heart and mind. And Soren is a little bit of a pirate. He does like his cash and all that kind of stuff. But I do think she really sees people's true intentions. She's learned so much from her father in terms of like giving people a go, giving people a shot, giving them an opportunity. So I definitely think she's giving that with Soren, and she definitely has a strong moral compass for sure.
And you got to take part in some of the most exciting set pieces on the show. Had you ever done stunts or action before? What did you do to prepare for, these giant pieces? Where do you even start?
I know. Where do you even start? I mean, literally, I think I just kind of got thrown into like the stunt rehearsal room. Johnny, who was the stunt coordinator, he was just like, "So this is what you're gonna do," and I was just like, "Okay, cool." It is a lot of, I think, mental and physical kind of tuning and just keeping yourself in shape, physically, spiritually, all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of planning that kind of goes on. They kind of step by step guide you through the sequence, so you never feel lost or anything like that, and that's always like a really good beginning step. But there's like special effects going on, and so you kind of, everyone's there to kind of keep you safe, but to really get the true action out of you. So it is a lot of crew making you feel safe. You kind of have a lot of dialogue, but sometimes you just kind of got to risk it and just go for it and see what happens and hope that you're safe at the end of the shot. But no, those action sequences were a lot of fun. And that's when I was like, I'm in an action show. This is pretty cool.
Was there a particular sequence or moment of filming in the action that stands out as either like the most challenging or the most exciting?
Oh, there's, definitely the one where I kind of jumped off a cliff. And I had to be rigged on the back, and I just jumped, and then they just, stopped me in midair. That was a lot of fun. That was the funnest stunt I did, I think. And then all the rest was a lot of just like running around, dodging bullets, and just, a lot of tussling. But that was the most memorable stunt for sure.
So were you actually jumping off of an actual cliff?
Yeah, like an actual cliff, and then there was like a massive crane on land, and I was just attached to this crane on my back. And then after I jumped, I think like a few meters down, they stopped me, and then they reel me back in, and then I come back to ground. So
oh my,
it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes you just have to do it and hope for the best.
Yeah, exhilarating. Well, it sounds like a good life experience, right?
Great life experience, and a really great stunt team who makes you, they make you feel so safe that you're able to do that kind of stuff. I think that's really important.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, to build off of that, I think that just speaks to the full team and, the cast and the crew to create an environment on set that you feel comfortable hurling your body through space. Right?
Yes, totally. If you feel unsafe, then I'd be like, maybe a stunt double can do that. But yeah, I try to give it a go. And if I feel too intimidated, then I'll be like, all right, maybe I'll pass this one.
So what do you think is next for Kwan?
Oh, what do I think is next? I mean, I don't even think I can spoil anything because I'm still not quite sure, but I definitely think the next step forward is finding her army, similar to her father, kind of starting from square one, finding her people, finding the resistance. The next step is really fighting the UNSC and really freeing Madrigal and making sure that she follows her father's footsteps and actually succeeds. Hopefully that's what happens for Kwan.
Yeah, the fall of Insure, the job's not done yet.
No, there's still more. Vinci was just the tip of the iceberg for sure.
No rest for Kwan. Well, Yerin, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been so lovely to see Kwan's journey through this season.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And now we've got an incoming transmission that I think you should see. Patching it through now.
Buckle up.
All right, shooting next time.
We have warthogs and they are extraordinary. You couldn't do anything Halo without warthogs.
We created 3 of them. In my episode, we're gonna see the Master Chief in the Warhawk driving to the desert, driving to a forest. So that's gonna be an epic moment. Love that.
Which are like, you know, crazy, crazy cars, you know, and they're just rebuilt, and they're about, I would say they're about almost 15 feet off the ground, you know, with the rifle attached to the top. That's insane too.
It's just so detailed and so beautiful.
Halo is about characters, but it's also about equipment and cool sci-fi toys. And so we're going to see all the iconic vehicles.
We have the Condor, we have variants of the Condor, and the Condor is huge.
We're sitting here in John's Condor, which is his main ship. It transports troops. It's a good fighting machine. Mostly it's with how they drop off the Spartans to go do battle on different planets around the galaxy.
We are on the Super Condor. Say hi. Here, let's take a look inside the cockpit. This is the cockpit of the Super Condor. Spartan size.
Okay, close positions, please.
To be honest, Kwan doesn't really play with a lot of the props. She's someone that speaks with her words, but I guess the Condor has been pretty amazing because it's on like a gimbal, so it feels like I'm on like an actual spaceship, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Like, and gimbal, 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 gimbal.
Yeah, I'm just like a little kid, and I just feel like I'm on like a roller coaster ride every day, yeah.
Stay tuned, Spartans. There's something very special coming up next.
Hey nerds, I'm Wil Wheaton, and this is a subspace communication from the set of my show, The Ready Room, the official online hub for all things Star Trek universe. I am thrilled to join you to talk about Halo today. I'm Generation X. I was about 9 years old when I played my very first arcade game. I was probably 10 or 11 when we had our first Atari 2600. I have been with gaming through every step of its evolution. The very first first-person shooter game I played was Doom. I think that's fair for a lot of us. Then it was Unreal Tournament. And then when Halo dropped in, I want to say the early 2000s, it fundamentally changed everything. This played on a console. It was more affordable than building out a PC to run the high graphic versions of the PC-based shooters of the day. And the world was beautifully realized. There was incredible lore. I remember playing 4-player death matches all using the same screen. Just a moment to stop and remember every time we screamed at our friends, stop screen cheating, when we were playing Halo in the early days. So I have always felt an affinity for and a connection to Master Chief. Obviously, that is the character we play through the games. But there's nothing I love more than throwing a sticky grenade onto a grunt and watching it go, ah, and run away and then blow up. It's never not funny to me. But in a world where everything is terrifying and every enemy is just so much more powerful than you are, even though you're the Master Chief, these little creatures just being ridiculous and humorous about it, I thought was just a wonderful, like just disruption to the general tone of the game and really memorable humor in a place where I don't think humor was something any of us were expecting. I think Halo endures now in a way that like maybe Doom and Unreal Tournament do not, because it has really been supported by so much media and so much storytelling. It's just a world that inspires creative people to tell stories inside of it. And that in turn inspires us who remember the early iterations of Halo to revisit not just the game, but who we were when we were first playing it. I am really excited for this world that I have been aware of for like 20 years to present itself to me in a way that I can enjoy passively. That I can sit on my couch and I can experience this story and I can witness this world in a way that does not involve me trying not to get killed by a 12-year-old on the other side of the planet while I'm doing it. I see this as a possible way for people to move from Star Trek to Halo and for people to move from Halo to Star Trek. It is a big, gorgeous world full of all kinds of science fiction. And if this is your entry point, I am thrilled for you to explore the larger world and find other things that you are excited about. If you happen to be watching this because you're a Star Trek fan or you're a fan of my work or whatever, I can endorse that you will have a really satisfying time exploring the Halo universe. And also, the visual storytelling that is possible in 2022 is so different from the visual storytelling that was possible in a gaming console 20 years ago. That alone is reason to get excited about this series.
You've surely noticed a few hidden surprises throughout the series, and to reward your patience and your commitment, I thought I'd take the liberty of declassifying them all now for your viewing pleasure.
Cortana, I'm gonna need a weapon.
Not sure it'll help.
And for the hardcore fans, there'll be stories and Easter eggs that'll make them sort of want to see more.
Hanging out with the aliens will change you, brother. Looks like a jail, but it's not. It's a refuge for them.
Acknowledged. More Banshees!
Assessment report.
Cave network does not appear to be a natural formation. Cave network does not appear to be a natural formation.
I have Sacred Ring.
Look. Sacred Ring. Halo.
I can't believe our time has already come to an end for today, but that's gonna do it for this installment of Halo the Series Declassified. Thanks so much to Yerin Ha for taking the time to talk with us, and to everyone out there in the far reaches of space who are tuning in. We'll be back next week with another new episode and another fantastic guest, the incredible Olive Gray, who you know as the exceptionally clever Dr. Miranda Keyes. As always, you can stream new episodes of Halo every Thursday exclusively on Paramount+. Until next time, I'm Sydnee Goodman. Thanks for watching.
I saw you. On the ring.
I saw you too. How did you do that?
I don't know, I let go.
That's incredible.
So that's it. It's the halo.
I'm sure of it. I felt a connection to it my entire life. It's like a yearning for home. You brought us there.
What is it, McKee? And why did the Covenant want it so bad?
There's a prophecy. Where the stars sparkle like glass, a divine wind will rush through, propelling all those who are worthy on a great journey to the sacred ring, where we will become like gods.
And those who aren't worthy?
Cleansed.
And you believe that? Humans are unworthy.
From what I saw, humans didn't seem to be worthy of anything.
I've only seen fragments from my childhood. But what I saw, what I felt, was goodness. I saw a capacity for hope, love. There is something within us. Something special in humans, something sacred, something worth protecting.